Antarctica is the planet's harshest, most desolate, and least explored continent. This frozen desert has been surrounded by myths, legends, and mysteries throughout history, and it has repeatedly claimed the lives of those who attempted to explore it. The existence of Antarctica is no longer a secret. It lies beneath the planet, waiting for those who wish to explore it. But access is highly restricted. No one can freely go there without special permissions, and strict regulations control every visit. Why? What makes this glacier-covered continent so off-limits? Could there be hidden truths that only a select few are allowed to know? Many stories surround this frozen land, and separating fact from fiction is not always easy. In the 2nd century AD, an important Greek scholar named Claudius Ptolemy made a claim that would fuel curiosity about Antarctica for centuries. Ptolemy was a remarkable figure, a mathematician, astronomer, geographer, and philosopher, who spent much of his life studying in the legendary Library of Alexandria. His works left behind vast knowledge in various fields. Among his many claims, one stands out. He was the first person in history to describe a massive landmass in the far south, calling it Terra Australis Incognita, the unknown southern land. How could he have known about this land? At a time when global geography was barely understood, how did he come up with such an idea? His claim was not based on exploration, but rather on logic and early scientific theories. Ptolemy built upon the ideas of Aristotle, who had lived 400 years earlier and believed that the Earth was round. Aristotle suggested that for the planet to remain balanced, there must be large land masses at both the northern and southern ends. Even though Aristotle had no knowledge of space or the true nature of Earth's position in the cosmos, his reasoning led to the conclusion that a massive continent must exist in the south to counterbalance the known land masses of the north. Later, 2 other Greek scholars, Eratosthenes and Hipparchus, made groundbreaking calculations of Earth's size and circumference with remarkable accuracy. Using only basic mathematics and physics, they determined these values more than 2,000 years ago, long before modern tools existed. With this knowledge, Ptolemy theorized that a large, unknown land must exist in the south. This idea became known as the theory of balance and was widely accepted among scholars of the time. Ancient Greek thinkers also believed that a massive landmass surrounded all the world's seas, meaning that beyond the vast oceans, another continent must exist. This belief persisted for centuries, influencing mapmakers and explorers. European sailors, driven by curiosity and competition, sought to discover new lands. Over time, detailed maps of the known world emerged, maps of Asia, Africa, and the Americas. The mysteries of the world seemed to be unraveling. Then, in 1511, an Ottoman admiral and cartographer named Piri Reis created a highly detailed and mysterious map that shocked the world. This map appeared to depict Antarctica, long before the continent was officially discovered. Piri Reis was a key figure in the Ottoman Navy during a time of great power and expansion. He compiled his maritime knowledge into Kitab-ı-Bahriye, an extensive work containing maps, navigation techniques, and geographical data. In 1513, while gathering information for his book, he presented a detailed world map to Sultan Selim. This map, known today as the Piri Reis map, was remarkable because it included accurate depictions of Africa's Atlantic coastline and even parts of the Americas, regions that were still largely unexplored by the Ottomans at the time. But there was something even more mysterious. At the bottom of the map, an unknown landmass appeared. Today, that landmass is believed to be Antarctica. But how could Piri Reis have drawn this continent when it was supposedly unknown? And even more puzzling, why did his map depict it without ice, when modern science claims that Antarctica has been covered in ice for millions of years? Some have speculated that this knowledge must have come from lost civilizations or even extraterrestrial sources. However, the explanation is likely much simpler. Piri Reis himself documented his sources. He did not claim to have received information from supernatural beings or ancient advanced civilizations. Instead, he compiled data from previous sailors, explorers, and older maps. So, if no one had officially discovered Antarctica by then, how did it appear on his map? The answer is likely a mapping error. The landmass that many believe to be Antarctica is more accurately the southernmost regions of South America, Patagonia, and Tierra del Fuego. Since the full shape of the continent was not yet known, Piri Reis mistakenly extended these regions downward on his map. Similar mapping errors can be found in other historical maps from that period. When modern computer modeling corrects the distortions, the landmass aligns with South America's eastern coastline rather than Antarctica. Still, the idea of a lost southern continent continued to captivate explorers. In 1531, the French cartographer Orontius Phineas created another intriguing world map. This map once again showed a southern continent resembling Antarctica, but without ice. Phineas based his map on earlier sources, including the works of Ptolemy, Christopher Columbus, and Amerigo Vespucci. At the time, many European mapmakers included a southern landmass simply because they believed it should exist, even though it had not been explored. However, one detail on Phineas's map stands out. The shape of the continent bears an uncanny resemblance to modern depictions of Antarctica, as it would appear without its ice sheet, something that humanity only mapped with high-tech equipment in the 1990s. Some researchers argue that Phineas was actually drawing Australia, but this is unlikely since European explorers did not officially discover Australia until nearly a century later. This leaves two possibilities. Either Phineas simply followed the long-standing tradition of drawing an imaginary southern continent and happened to get lucky with its shape, or he had access to information that allowed him to depict Antarctica as it existed before it was covered in ice. This question has fueled theories about lost civilizations with advanced knowledge of geography. Some have even suggested that an ancient seafaring society mapped the world long before recorded history, the crust layer shifting according to the centers of gravity, like a stone on ice. These are truly extreme scenarios. And who knows what would remain of the planet if such events occurred? That's why Hapgood's theory was generally ignored. But let's not forget, our knowledge of geology is still quite limited, so it might be too early to dismiss it entirely, as older scientists did, labeling it as crazy nonsense. There could be a past catastrophe that we simply haven't discovered yet. Hapgood's theory later became associated with the lost continent of Atlantis, and the idea that remnants of an ancient civilization might be hidden beneath Antarctica's 5-kilometer thick ice suddenly took hold in popular culture. But Hapgood wasn't the only reason this theory gained traction. Before World War II, the Nazis conducted expeditions to the South Pole. Then, in 1946 and 1947, the largest Antarctic operation in history took place, led by the United States military, Operation High Jump. This highly secretive mission was overseen by the famous Admiral Richard Byrd. This operation is what gave rise to almost all modern Antarctic myths. After thousands of years of legends about mysterious lands in the south, Antarctica was finally confirmed as a continent by the Russian Imperial Navy in 1820. From that moment on, nations raced to explore this frozen world. The first major expedition was led by Admiral Byrd himself between 1928 and 1930. His team established a research and military base called Little America in the Ross Ice Shelf region. In the following years, Byrd led multiple expeditions to Antarctica. But the Americans weren't the only ones investigating this icy land. In 1938 and 1939, the Nazis launched their own Antarctic missions. Many rumors suggest that they were searching for Atlantis, but in reality their goal was more practical: natural resources. Preparing for war, Nazi Germany needed vast amounts of whale oil and raw materials, and Antarctica seemed like a potential source. However, when World War II broke out, their plans were cut short. The real mystery begins toward the end of the war, when some believe the Nazis, realizing their defeat, smuggled secret military technology, and possibly even Hitler himself, to bases in Antarctica before escaping to South America. There's no definitive proof of this claim, but we do know that some high-ranking Nazi officers successfully escaped to Argentina and Chile, assuming new identities. So, while we can't say the entire theory is true, we also can't dismiss it entirely. Who knows what they might have left behind under the ice? Whether due to these Nazi theories, the Atlantis myths, or something else entirely, shortly after the war, the United States sent a massive fleet to Antarctica, nearly 4,000 soldiers and scientists, to conduct the most extensive research operation in the region's history. Officially, the mission was about testing cold weather technology, studying Antarctica's climate and geological conditions, and conducting scientific research. But some believe there was another, more secretive purpose: to make contact with an advanced civilization living beneath the ice. According to these stories, Admiral Byrd, during an aerial survey, supposedly entered a massive underground opening and was welcomed by an advanced race. He allegedly had a conversation with these beings, who then allowed him to leave after sharing some knowledge. Some even claim there was a battle between Byrd's forces and these mysterious beings. But these alien theories aren't just based on Byrd's alleged encounter. Over the years, ice core samples have revealed that Antarctica was once a temperate land, covered in lush forests and home to a variety of creatures. Geological research has even shown that the landmass beneath the ice bears a striking resemblance to the Orontius Phineus map, a 500-year-old map depicting Antarctica long before it was officially discovered. While the match isn't perfect, it raises interesting questions. As these discoveries stacked up, public fascination with Antarctica exploded. Suddenly, Hapgood's theories and other claims were widely accepted without question. Books flooded the market, speculating about an ancient civilization waiting to be uncovered. And just when public interest was at its peak, something suspicious happened. In 1959, the Antarctic Treaty was signed by 12 countries, essentially banning civilian access to the continent. Why? The war was over and technology was advancing. So why prohibit exploration instead of encouraging it? Why can't commercial flights pass over Antarctica? What's really being hidden there? Some say the treaty was necessary to prevent nations from fighting over resources. After all, Antarctica is estimated to hold 50 billion barrels of oil in just the Ross Sea region alone. If exploited, it could have triggered new conflicts. The treaty also bans military activities, stating that the continent is to be used exclusively for scientific research. It even requires that any discoveries be shared among all signatory nations. So, the treaty makes sense in some ways. But still, the secrecy surrounding Antarctica fuels endless speculation. As for Admiral Byrd's diary, which allegedly details his meeting with aliens, no such diary has ever been produced. The stories about underground civilizations and battles were invented by authors looking to sell books during the Antarctic craze. Even Byrd's own family denied the existence of these secret diaries. And remember, no one has ever produced a single physical copy of these alleged journals. But why are flights really restricted over Antarctica? Officially, it's due to extreme weather conditions, lack of landing zones, and electronic interference caused by the magnetic pole. Also, allowing unrestricted flights could mean nations secretly surveying the land, which is why all flight data is monitored by multiple countries, not just the US. And what about civilians? While most of the continent is off limits, you can visit Antarctica if you're willing to pay for expensive tours. However, access to the interior is heavily restricted due to harsh conditions, with temperatures reaching -80 degrees Celsius in winter. And those satellite images of mysterious formations, many turn out to be natural geological structures or even optical illusions. For example, this alleged crashed spaceship is actually just a rock slide. The pyramids, they're sharp mountain peaks formed by glacial erosion, not artificial structures. And those giant cave entrances, yes, some of them are real. They open and close with seasonal ice movement, not because aliens are using them as landing pads. The Nazis went there for resources, the Americans went there for research, and the Antarctic Treaty was likely signed to prevent war, not to hide a secret civilization. But one question remains. Could something be buried beneath Antarctica's ancient ice? Science tells us that Antarctica has been frozen for millions of years. But if Hapgood's theory is even partially correct, could a lost civilization be waiting to be uncovered beneath the ice? If anything tangible is ever discovered, you can be sure I'll cover it here first. After all, that's the purpose of this channel, to explore the unknown. If you have any tangible evidence or theories about Antarctica, let's discuss them in the comments. After all, 98% of this continent remains unexplored. Who knows what the ice might still be hiding? Thanks for watching Unmasked Facts. Subscribe for more mysteries, and I'll see you next time.